This show is proudly supported by Habitats at Home, Australia's leading PVC reptile enclosure specialist. Check them out on Instagram and Facebook at Habitats at Home, and be sure to visit habitatsathome.com.au if you're in the market for a new PVC reptile enclosure or other reptile accessories. Massive thanks to Tyson over at Habitats at Home. This show is proudly supported by Dan from Red Earth Reptiles. If you want to drool over some of the best looking green tree pythons in the country, check out Dan on Instagram at red_earth_reptiles. This show is proudly supported by Dan from Red Earth Reptiles. If you want to drool over some of the best looking green tree pythons in the country, check out Dan on Instagram at red_earth_reptiles. G'day and welcome to Under the Heatland with Joe Mack. Today I'm joined by Tyson from Habitats at Home, a podcast sponsor. We're here for round two. Tyson, how you going?
Good, bro. How are you?
Fantastic. We're bloody chatting away before recording, and I always do this with guests. I get halfway through a conversation and be like, this should be recorded. This should be on the podcast. Sure. So we finally hit the record button. What's new? Anything exciting?
Yeah, man, I've just come back from 3 weeks away. It's been a bit of a crazy month. I got married and then 3 weeks of honeymoon. And then I've been back to the grind for 1 week, trying to sort my life out. But no, it's been good. It's been really good.
Yeah, and the honeymoon was, congratulations at the marriage, of course. But
Thank you very much.
The honeymoon had herbs involved, so let's get down to business. You were in.
We essentially spent 2 weeks. We essentially spent 2 weeks in Sri Lanka and 1 week in Singapore. And it was perfect for us, really. Like my wife and I, we've done a lot of backpacking. So it was like a half backpack, half nice trip. No hostels, but staying in nice hotels. And no buses, but getting drivers.
Nice.
So it was a bit of a half and half. And
good compromise.
Yeah, my wife was on a food tour and I was on a wildlife tour, which was great. There's the access to wildlife in Sri Lanka was actually pretty crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, caught my first rat snake in the botanical gardens of Kandy, to the shock of obviously
everyone else involved.
Everyone else is there. Yeah. It's quite funny because it was quite large, and I've grabbed it, and I've got colubrids in my collection at home, but they're tree snakes and they're much smaller. I never expected a large colubrid to be so agile. I thought that like the heavy body would make them a bit slower. But no, absolutely not. They are very fast, can come straight back up on themselves. This thing was snapping at my ankles, and I was thinking to myself, like, I'm so glad this thing is not venomous because I would be in trouble.
Yeah. What species was it? Was it Pitaius something or other?
Yeah, Pitaius. I don't know what it was. I honestly don't know. I could look it up.
But it was big, eh? I think you said. Yeah,
it was big. It was big. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was sick, and even my wife was like, "What are you doing? You don't know what it is." And I'm thinking, I know what it is. I'm not just picking up things.
I know what it is, but I don't know what I'm doing.
yeah, exactly. Basically, yeah. But no, it was pretty funny. So yeah, that was really cool. And then we were down in Yala in the national park down in the south. On the hunt for leopards, and we got 3.
That's crazy.
So there's like a special subspecies of leopard in Sri Lanka. I can't remember what it is, but they have their own leopard species down there, and we got 3 of them. Also got a ton of Bengal monitors in the national park. Got juveniles, got giant males, got mating pairs. Got a female that looked like it may be like on a termite mound. It looked like it had either sort of was checking the termite mound out, either had just been in or just come out. I'm not sure.
Wow,
which was pretty cool. And then also got an Indian rock python. Unfortunately from the Jeep, like you can't get in and out of the Jeep for the safari, but Yeah, unclear whether it was so they've got actually two species of rock python there. They've got just the Indian, and then they've got their own southern form. I think it's called a pimbura.
Yep.
So unclear of which
Tempura
one it
rock
was,
python.
but
Yeah, okay.
yeah, that was very
Um,
cool. And I think that was it for snakes. Really, saw a few. Actually saw a common green lizard from the car, which was crazy. They've got like the bright green with the red heads.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was a male.
Um,
It
do you
was
know
it
what
was
genus they
nuts.
are? They're not a Colodtes, are they? No.
I think they may be.
Could be. Yeah.
I think they may
Yeah.
be.
Yeah. If they
Um,
are what I'm thinking of, they're awesome. They're fucking
yeah,
stunning little dudes.
yeah. I honestly didn't think it was like it was one of those things you. I was in the car and it was just on like a washing machine repair shop fly screen door.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it was like a
Yeah.
1.5 meters away from the car, and we're sort of crawling through traffic, and then so you go past, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, whoa, like,
Hang on.
is that what I think it is?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
It's just such a crazy lizard to see for the first time, and then yeah, I'm thinking like trying to get out of the car, but we're already going. It was yeah,
No, you're in traffic.
and then
Yeah.
didn't see another one, so
Huh?
yeah, I was looking,
Um,
um, yeah.
I was just gonna say, well, forgive my ignorance. I don't really know geographically exactly where the English
Hmm.
Sri Lanka is in terms of how its weather would be at this time of year. What was the weather like?
So they just had like a month of rain and it completely washed everything out. So like they had
Yeah, right.
I think from memory they were saying that one of the things you do there for travel is like there's a special train from Kandy to Ella that goes across like the famous Nine Arch Bridge.
Hmm.
Um, it's kind of like everyone that goes there, it's like a tourist sort of a thing. Everyone wants to get this bridge across this train across this special bridge, but when we tried to do that, it was actually the track was busted because they had this giant hurricane, and
Fuck.
essentially wiped out like 140 of 160 railways.
Wow.
So right before we were there, they had just had massive amount of rain, and when we were driving around, there was landslides and everything, like all over the place. But I think in total, we while we were there, we might have got 2 afternoons, no, three afternoons of rain. Outside of that, like the temperature was perfect
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
out of
Interesting.
out of two
It
weeks.
sounds like prime conditions to see wildlife.
Yeah,
Really.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
just north of the equator. Um, but yeah, down in Yala where the national park is, it's quite dry, whereas in the middle of the country is very sort of green and mountainous. So a
Yeah.
lot of the herping takes place not too far from Colombo actually, which is like the big city, the capital. It's
Right.
sort of just like a little bit east and south. Because I think it's like I want to say it's like either 6 or 8 hours across east to west or west to east,
Okay. Yeah.
and then maybe like I want to say like 15 or something north to south, something like that. It's
Yeah.
not
Gotcha.
super. It's not massive.
Yeah.
Um, One interesting thing though is that like no lizards, like other than monitors, like Bengal monitors are everywhere, like
Yeah.
literally everywhere. But in terms of like outside of the forests or the jungles, there's just no lizards.
Yeah. Right.
Um,
No skinks.
didn't see anything, like
Yeah. Right.
nothing. You got to imagine like
Um.
you're out in the bush in Australia, like if you look hard enough, every rock's going to have some sort of lizard on it.
Just about. Yeah. It's all crawling.
It was over
Um.
there, nothing.
But you saw crocs.
Muggers.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've got two species of crocs. They got the mugger and the saltwater.
Yeah.
Um, Saw plenty of muggers. It's a little hard to tell from a distance, like in the water, what's
Oh
what.
yeah.
So potentially could have seen a salty as well, but it's just too hard to tell. But they are both in the national park. Um,
Yeah.
they have two monitors, the Bengal and the Asian water monitor. We
Yeah.
got the Salvatore, um, like pretty much the second to last day or so before we left.
Yeah.
So I managed to get that. They've got 3 species of monkey. We managed to hit all of them. They got 2 langurs and a
Oh,
macaque.
nice.
So we
Yeah.
got all of them and a bunch of birds like that I don't know the names of.
Yeah. Any hornbills?
Yeah, got 2.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Those things
really
are sick.
close, really close in a tree. What's funny is on the safari they call everything by the wrong name.
Oh,
Like everything is the wrong thing. So
yeah,
like
right.
the Bengal monitors are all iguanas, the hornbills are toucans, leopard they know, elephant they know.
Yeah.
Um,
How has that happened? What's the
no idea,
cross reference there? That's crazy.
no idea.
I wonder if there's been some like political influence there or something that's
You know what?
encouraged that.
Honestly, what I think it is that like the safari is not like an African safari. It's just like locals that have a jeep, and then they
Oh
pile
yeah.
you into the jeep, and they just drive around this park, and it's
Gotcha.
not super ethical. It's not super like, I mean, they have rules, and I think they follow them as long as no one's watching, or as long as
Right.
somebody's watching. When no
Someone
one's
is
watching,
watching.
it
Yeah,
gets a little crazy. Um, and I mean, essentially, you've just got to hope that you've got a really good driver, because the really good driver will put you where you need to be to see the leopard, and it doesn't
yeah.
matter who like is in front of them, basically. Like, so
Oh,
it's pretty hectic. But if I had to guess why they call everything the wrong thing, I would imagine that like like goanna is a bastardization of iguana, right?
iguana. Yeah.
And I think that like these guys that are running the jeeps, they're not wildlife people, they're just drivers.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they're probably like over time, you know, they've got a customer in there that's like, oh, that's a toucan, and they're like, oh yeah, that's a toucan, and then they tell their
Yeah.
mate, oh yeah, that's a toucan, and then it just becomes a toucan.
Yeah. And then
Um,
everyone else,
yeah,
yeah, falls in
they had
line.
I think they're called are they Brahmani deer? I think they're called Brahmani deer. They're like a big
Yeah.
deer, big
Yeah,
brown
yeah.
deer, and they were calling them antelopes. And it's
Oh
probably
yeah.
because South
S
African
same
was like,
diff.
oh
Same
yeah,
diff.
that looks like an antelope. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
I think
Someone
it's
just picked it
just,
up along the way and ran with
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Um,
Um,
when you were on the safari,
hmm.
like, were there just sort of cars everywhere? Because I feel like I've seen some sort of content recently about, you see all these wonderful pictures of safaris in Africa, and it's like, yep, here's us in our car, and then the camera pans around, and it's just fucking cars full of people everywhere.
Yeah,
Is it similar to that?
yep. That's what this place was
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
Again, I
Okay.
mean, you might have been seeing videos of this place that we went.
Yeah.
Um,
Very well. Yeah.
I mean, they're not. Look, there's roads. There's roads all around the park, and it's a big national park.
Yeah.
And they're not going off road. Essentially, they're staying on the roads.
On
And
the tracks.
they're
Yeah.
not getting out, touching animals and things like that. So just in terms of like, if there's like, we had a sloth bear. Like we came into the park, so basically we got picked up at like just after 5. I think the park opened at 6:30 or something, or 7 maybe. And you've got to get your permits and all that sort of stuff before you get in. So then you've got, say, 30 jeeps all waiting at the gate to get into the park.
Yeah. Right.
And essentially, like, you can go, they have 6 seats in the jeeps, so you can essentially like go as part of a group and jump in with other people, or we basically just had a private one. It was just 2 of us in the
Yeah.
back. And
Nice.
yeah, when the gate opens, you all sort of drive in, they check your permit, and you go in there. And on the first day, we had a sloth bear basically walking down the road for, I don't know, a good 500 meters, just strolling down the road, and then just the jeeps are all just battling to get in front, so that like, and it was honestly, it was wild. I was thinking, is this gonna be like, have I got a whole day of this? Because this is just
Feel like
not
they need to play
fun.
like some Mario Kart music or something like dun dun
Yeah,
dun dun
it
dun
was
dun dun dun
nuts.
dun dun dun.
It was nuts. And then the bear would kind of like keep looking back and being like, what's going on? And then it would keep
Yeah,
strolling, like,
I don't
and
want
I
to
mean,
glaze over that. Can you explain what a sloth bear is?
yeah, I mean, it's like a little bear. I can't really explain
Yeah.
it that much more.
Okay. Yeah.
It's bad
Set
enough.
myself
I'm
up
bad
there.
enough with things. I'm bad enough with things with scales. It's impossible for me to know about things with fur. I just
Sloth
know what
bear.
it's
I've
called.
googled. I've just good. It's like kind of like a sun bear type thing.
A little bit, like a little bit, kind of similar sort of size, longer snout. Um, but yeah, they have them in. I spent a month in Nepal, and then at the end of that, we went down to Chitwan National Park. We tried to find them down there too, but failed.
Yeah. Okay. Look at
Um,
this guy.
but yeah, I mean they're not huge.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Interesting.
they're
And
not
then
they're not huge.
Singapore after that.
Yeah, Singapore after that. Yeah, Singapore's wild, eh? Like they've just got a giant like catchment area in the middle. So you've got like the whole island's city. I think it takes like an
Hmm.
hour to drive from east to west, and probably like
Yeah.
45 minutes from north to south. And then it's just skyscrapers, and then in the
It's
middle they've just
crazy.
got this giant catchment reserve, and you can get 4 meter cobras and 6 meter retics and
Yeah.
blue coral snakes
It's
and
fucking
vipers
wild, man.
and
It's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
So
And then like
did you?
no,
Nah.
you
Go
go,
ahead.
sorry.
You're right. No. No. No.
Yeah, at the and like in the gardens, like the gardens by the bay, you can get, you know, 2 meter Asian water monitors and sea
They're just
otters and
cruising. Oh,
yeah, like
that's gnarly.
it's pretty
And
cool.
so, did you do a bit of herping there?
Yeah, so one day and one night, I jumped in with like some of the guys from Explore Herpetology.
Yeah.
They run some tours, and yeah, I mean obviously it's all very accessible. Like it's not necessary to go on a tour, but you know, I was sort of on my own, and it's nice to sort of have someone to chat to and sort of show you around and tell you a little bit about like some of the more obscure species or how to find them. So that was
Yeah,
cool.
for sure.
So we tried for a blue coral snake, but didn't get one, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But what I did get there was Copstein's bronzeback,
Oh yeah, how crazy are
which
they?
is yeah, we didn't get hands on, unfortunately. Missed the catch of that one, but yeah, just absolutely stunning. And also got a Wagglers, female Wagglers. I
Nice.
actually think it's the same one that Dan saw.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I
it
reckon it's
very
the
well
same.
could be.
I reckon it's the
Yeah,
same
yeah,
snake. Um,
yeah,
at least one of them, because I know we're in the same place.
yeah.
But yeah, also got I caught a baby nebulosus, the clouded.
A clouded monitor.
Yeah, he was just basking on a tree, like a frilly, just halfway up a tree.
That's
And
awesome.
as I came up to him, he sort of just did the little shuffle around, you know,
Yeah,
so that you can't see me. So I
yeah,
plucked
yeah,
him
yeah,
off. He was cute. Yeah, got Salvatore. Also got yeah, the Asian vine snakes there. Um,
yeah.
and then that night we went to the mangroves, and there's like 5 species of water snake at that particular mangroves, and we got 4 of them,
Oh, awesome.
which was cool. Got a midnight swimming Asian water monitor,
Oh
seven or
yeah,
eight vine snakes, and then I got hands on a Dendrolaphus pictus as well,
yeah,
um,
yeah.
which was amazing. Obviously, love the Dendrolaphus species.
Love the Dendrolaphus. Yeah. I think the I don't think anyone keeps any of those mangrove snakes, but I think you could make fantastic exhibits, like zoo styled exhibits for those mangrove snakes.
Mm.
And since they predominantly eat crustaceans, I think they'd probably be relatively easy to feed and
Yeah,
house. I think that'd be fantastic.
yeah. Ever since I started, like obviously keeping all the crayfish, I have always wanted a bockerdam,
Oh yeah,
but we
yeah.
can't keep them. We can't keep them down here. I'm not sure if you can have them in Queensland, but
I don't know. So they're not on the keeping list in New South
nah,
Wales. Hmm.
nah. But I've always been interested
Interesting.
in those.
Yeah, I don't. I've
Uh,
never heard of anyone keeping one.
yeah, I just I don't think it's possible.
Yeah, I think if anywhere were to have one, it'd be like Territory Wildlife Park or somewhere up in Darwin
Mm. Yeah, but
potentially. But
they were really cool. Yeah, they were sick to like they have like kind of like a walkway over all the mangroves, and
yeah,
we were there at high tide, so we were out there until like 3 in the morning, and I reckon
jeez.
this tide started coming in around like midnight, I'd say, and we sort of like just there's a chance to find a bunch of stuff there like retics and spitting cobras, and oh, we also got the mangrove pit viper there as well,
Yeah, yeah.
which was really cool. Um, but yeah, like you sort of walking over the pathways over the mangroves and then watching the water come in and get slowly higher and higher and higher, and um, just the snakes just start appearing out of nowhere. Like all of a sudden there was
Oh yeah.
literally hundreds, hundreds of bocodams of
Yeah,
all
right.
sorts of sizes. Like yeah, and then you start realizing like that's what actually was so good about having a guide there, is that you'd never know what they were from the bridge, like from the walkway. They would kind of all look the
Right.
same. Whereas
Yeah,
that
yeah.
like they're like, oh, that's a this, that's a this, that's a this, and not only that, they knew where to get on and off the platform. So like
Oh,
they were actually going down there to get them for me,
yeah, yeah.
um,
Oh, nice.
which was awesome. Like I highly recommend um those guys if you wanted to go find that stuff, because like they had gumboots and I mean I was in shoes and
And you didn't.
so they did everything. It was brilliant. Um,
And Singapore's such a common place to have a stopover. I feel like so many international flights will leave you in Singapore for a few
mm,
hours or a day or whatever if you so desire. So it's definitely accessible. And obviously Singapore's not a very big place either, like you said. So
no, like
it's something you can
literally
do.
both places I went, literally from leaving like the hotel to walking to the train station, catching the train, getting off the train, walking to the location, it was within an hour each time.
Yeah, that's mad.
Like you could literally do a stopover, drop your bag at the airport, leave the airport for a day, and go find a Wagglers quite
That's
easily.
so cool. That's so cool.
Like very easily.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I have had a browse on iNaturalist just
hmm.
around Singapore and to see what's there, and it's incredible. It's like this, like you said, it's a built up city on with the catchment in the middle, and it's just full of wildlife. It's crazy.
Mm. Yeah, what I found
Um,
interesting though is that like they can't keep any reptiles over there. It's illegal.
okay,
Um, and I also asked the guys that I was with basically like if they have sort of catches. Um, and they don't basically. They have kind of like their version of parks,
okay,
and I think parks operate some sort of a rescue. But according to them, they're not very good. So even if they're rescuing a snake, chances are it's not gonna make it.
right.
Um, but then even with all the houses surround, like with all the houses that back onto the catchment areas, they were saying they don't really get a lot of conflict in the same way
Huh.
that we do. Um,
Interesting. I wonder what determines that. Maybe their species just haven't. Well, I don't know. I was going to say maybe they haven't dealt with urbanization as well as things like the eastern brown snake have, but clearly they're still living within those areas.
hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
maybe
mean,
just the
I mean, people just aren't reporting it, or maybe it's just not, they don't have a Facebook
yeah
page where everyone, you know,
yeah that too. Maybe they just don't care.
maybe they just
Oh,
don't
whatever.
care.
King
But I,
cobra
but
in my
I,
backyard.
mm, but yeah, I mean, I think that, but I mean, look, perhaps a lot of like the bronzebacks, surely would be traveling into people's backyards.
Oh, you
Um,
have to think so.
and maybe they just don't care about those, but and surely a
Yeah,
cobra is a bit different. Like,
that's worth calling someone. I think to say, hey,
yeah,
can you help?
yeah. And I mean, they've also got the spitters, which are only, a meter and a half long, sort of thing. So
Yeah, yeah,
you'd imagine they'll be turning up everywhere. But look, I mean, that's just what one person has told me. But
yeah.
yeah, I just thought that was interesting because I was walking around these houses thinking, man, they must get spitting cobras in their backyard all the time.
Oh, all the time you'd think. Yeah.
Um,
It's
but
interesting because I've spent a little bit of time with some of the guys in Bali that do snake catching and
mm,
that sort of thing, and they are always catching snakes from people's properties, but at least it certainly seems like they are.
mm,
Um, Everything from like Asian water monitors even all the way up to massive king cobras, retics, and whatever else. Um,
yeah, but I mean, I guess
yeah, I
the
don't
difference
know.
is that like a lot of, Singapore. I think like they have a lot of apartments. Like 80% of the population lives in the government housing, essentially.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah,
And
there's no
then
rice paddies in the middle of Singapore.
no, and then like there's a small area of mansions which are like mega mansions, and then like the area that I was in around to try and find the blue corals, it's all sort of like townhouses, like terrace sort of townhouses,
Right.
and all of those houses had cars in the driveway. Um, and another weird thing about Singapore is that like if you want to own a Mazda CX-3 or I don't know whatever, it might cost you 40 grand to buy one in Australia, but over there you've got to pay 100 grand for a permit to even own a car, and then you've got to pay, and then
What
that
the fuck?
CX-3 there's like 300% tax or something on the car, so like a Mazda CX-3 costs you 150 grand
Wow.
plus your permit, so it's a
Wow.
$250,000 car.
They really don't
So
want you
like,
driving.
no, they don't want you driving, but like even driving a car over there is such a flex of wealth, even if it's a shitbox.
Yeah. 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 Right.
So so like you think like these people that are living in the townhouses are just
Oh,
loaded.
just loaded.
Like, and they're
Yeah,
not even
that's
flash. Like
absurd.
their townhouses aren't even super flash.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I mean, I guess there's like just not really a lot of backyards for them to end up in. Like it's literally a lot of apartments.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe that's what
Um,
it is.
oh, I did want to talk about some tree snakes today.
Mm-hmm.
Want to talk about tree snakes?
Yeah, sure. Let's go.
Um, what do you keep an adult common tree snake in? Sorry, we've changed pace pretty rapidly
No,
there, but
no, you're right.
um,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
Or what do
So,
you think? What do you think is appropriate, and what do you think is ideal? I guess.
I mean, they are so active. I think you could keep them in a room, and they would be across all four corners of a bedroom in a day.
Yeah.
Um, they'd go out your backyard and use your swimming pool, and then come back inside and go climb up your banisters. Like they're so active, they're always all over the place. So I don't
Yeah.
think anything is too big. I think for an adult, I reckon I don't know 3 by 2 by 3. I'd say would be the smallest I'd go for an adult. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I try and provide like some sort of a water area, a lot of climbing, a lot of like not burrowing, but a lot of hides, like sort of underground as well.
Yeah.
Um, that's a tree snake enclosure behind me. That's 4 by 2 by 3, I think.
Hmm.
And then I've got other adults in 4 by 2 by 6,
Wow.
which they use all of.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, and then I've got others in 3 by 3 by 2 by 3. So yeah, they will use it if you give it to them. They'll use it.
Yeah. And are you just running, obviously, like furnishing wise, you've got all sorts of rock walls and branches
Y-
and live plants and
yeah.
um, substrate wise, are you running a lot of bioactive stuff? Are you running anything that's not bioactive?
So on the hatchies, like the young ones, up to maybe
Yeah.
like maybe a year and a half or so, I keep pretty basic. Just PVC enclosure, paper towel, a bit of like plastic trellis, and like I have a humid hide, a dry hide, and a water bowl.
Yeah.
I guess just because getting them feeding is so important. I don't want um, any sort of issues when it comes to feeding. So I just try and keep that very simple. And then as they
Basic,
get
yeah.
older, I make things a lot more complicated for them. Um,
Well, I'm sure they appreciate it too. Um,
yeah, I'm in the process of like redoing all of the tree snake enclosures at the moment. So that's what I was doing today. Actually, I've got I think I've got 8, 4, 7. I got 15 or so tree snake enclosures in the workshop ready to come home.
oh, awesome. Ready to come home.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah, they've just been sitting. It's been a bit of a project that's been going on for a while, but I should hopefully have them finished soon.
Are they for
And they'll all
adults?
be um basically like grow outs. So like between I've got 8 enclosures for like that sort of 2 to 4 year age, and
Yeah.
then and then yeah, it'd be 7 enclosures for adults.
Yeah. Yeah, let's go to the babies and how you set them up in their little enclosures, because I've been asking you. I've been raising some little tree snakes
Mm.
for over a year now, and I think we had some. Well, obviously, I took a lot of your advice on board, and had my own ideas as well. I was keeping them initially in click clack tubs, and I found that they were horrific for such a highly strung and potentially like stressable snake like a tree snake. So when trying to feed an already finicky species, it was no good to click clack open the tubs to then try to put something in there that they wouldn't really necessarily be eating in the wild anyway. So then um, I'm sure I sent you pictures along the way, but then I upgraded them to those really nice clear polycarbonate tubs in a
Yep.
pull-out rack. And I even think that the pull-out tubs is also still probably too much disturbance again for those
Mm.
little guys. And I set them up similarly. I don't run a humid hide and a dry hide because it's always humid up here, like always. I couldn't tell you the last time I had an issue with a snake shed, if ever. So I don't think there's much need. But yeah, basic hide, pretty big water bowl, and a nice bit of trellis for them to climb around in. But I found I raised one separately in an enclosure with a swing open door, and that snake seemed to take to feeding much faster. And I think it's just entirely due to the lack of disturbance.
Yeah,
The sample
I think
size is
so.
very small, but
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
that's pretty
so.
accurate.
I think another big issue with tubs is you got to remember they're a diurnal species.
Yeah,
So like if you might have it in a clear tub, but if the lights are off in the room, then that snake's essentially in the dark all day.
it's night time. Yeah,
Until you come in to feed it. So I think that that's a big problem with the tubs as well. Um,
yeah,
yeah, obviously mine are all in a nursery with acrylic swing doors, and they have lighting. Um,
yeah.
I don't have any sort of special heating on the young ones. I just use literally an LED downlight, and I just make sure they can get up against it, and I find that that's
Up under it.
enough
Yeah.
enough heat. What I do find though is that like for me down here, um, my room, I have like a dedicated room, but I don't have air conditioning or anything like that. I
Hmm.
essentially just leave my sliding door open, um,
Yeah.
pretty much 24/7, and obviously I have heating in all the larger enclosures, but all the larger enclosures they're so big that I tend to just really have a hot basking spot and then
Whatever
just nothing at
happens.
night. So I cook everything during the day, and then it's just ambient temperature, whatever it's doing outside is what it's going to do in here generally.
Yeah. I like that. I think that's important.
I find most of the time it doesn't really get below sort of 16 degrees in here. And then
Hmm.
if it's like the middle of winter and it's really cold, I will shut the door.
Yeah, close the
Um,
door.
and that seems to work for
Um,
me.
have you got any idea of what temperature the babies like could be getting to being under that light?
Yeah, it sits around like yeah 28 roughly.
Yeah, okay.
Um,
And I mean, when it comes to feeding them, I had the best success with just putting a fish in their water bowl and they would eat the fish. That's pretty much
yeah.
the best bet. I found that if I, I was a bit stressy about them because they're so small and they're so
Mm,
skinny. I worried about them losing condition pretty quickly, so I jumped to assist feeding them mouse tails
hmm.
about weekly, probably weekly if they weren't eating. And obviously, a big mouse tail is going to be too big for some tiny tree snakes, so I would just chop it down to whatever an appropriate size I thought would be. But fish in the water bowl seems to be pretty effective.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's how most people do it. I tend to not do that. Like I personally think that hunting is going to be an instinct that they're going to have regardless. They're
Hmm.
always going to sort of have that. Whereas I'm more interested in getting them feeding off the tongs immediately. Essentially, as soon as they sort of work out that the tongs are going to be food, the sooner that they're going to eat anything that's on the end of those tongs.
Yeah.
So that's sort of how I approach it. I believe we've spoken about it maybe on our last podcast, but I have like a little black dish It's like a pot base, which I turn into a little hide. And when I'm trying to feed, I essentially wait till they're in there, and then I just chuck a fish straight in there dry.
Yeah,
And I've never failed to get a snake feeding with that method.
it's crazy.
Later on down the track, like let's say I know that they're eating and I'm in a rush, and I might chuck a fish in there and they don't eat it, then I'll chuck it in the bowl, and then maybe like when I'll come back and it'll be gone.
Hmm.
But I don't do that
I
as like a that's I my fish in a bowl is like when I'm being real lazy or I've run out of time.
Hey, come on,
That's when
man.
I'll do that. Just saying.
I think also partly that method works super well for you is also due to the nursery setups with the swing doors.
For sure.
Like in the tubs, as soon as I slide it out, those little guys are like, "Holy fuck, what's happening?" You know,
Mm,
they're immediately stressed and going to be less inclined to eat.
yeah.
Although I have adopted that technique from you, and it has worked, which is probably why one of them is happy to eat
Mm,
anything, and a couple of them aren't. Probably because I've
mm,
been lazy and putting the food in the water bowl for them lately.
yeah.
So
But interesting enough though, like I do yeah, because opening the door is quite silent, what I'll do is that if I know they're in the hide, I'll give it like a little tap or like a little
oh
flick,
yeah,
just because I
yeah,
want them to go, oh shit, and then look at the door. I want them, because sometimes they'll be asleep and like they have their coils over their heads. I want
yeah,
them, I want them looking at that door so that when that fish comes in,
yeah,
they're half, they're half trying to defend themselves,
yeah. They're
so
almost
that they're
preemptive. Something's happening.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
So basically, anything that comes through that hole is going to get smashed, and that's
yeah.
the reaction that I want.
That's interesting. You give them a little bit of stimulus first to wake them up and have them, wired enough to know something could happen or be ready for it, and then
Yeah,
they get the food. And
yeah.
I also think a lot of snakes are very tactile too, I think. So when you throw a little fish, whatever it may be, a guppy or whatever, into that hide, if it starts flapping around and it lands on the snake, the snake will react. And I found a lot like with some of these tree snakes to get them feeding, tongue feeding them a lot. They bite and then they bite and then eventually they bite and go, oh, hang on, actually no, I will eat this. So
Mm.
when yeah, I think the biting is a bit of a lesson for them too. They got to get used to that.
Yeah, you definitely like, I mean, you definitely there's a fine line between sort of antagonizing them and sort of stimulating them to
Yeah,
bite.
there's productive
Um,
bites and there's unproductive ones.
yeah, exactly. And but I've also found that like especially when trying to move them onto pinkies too, quite often they'll as soon as they get like even a moment of resistance from the pinky, they'll spit it out.
Spit it out. Yeah,
So I chop the front legs off.
yeah,
I'll chop the front legs off the pinky because what when they're quite small, what can happen is that they'll get to the front legs and they kind of hook on the side of the mouth, and they'll be
yeah,
there just trying to swallow for ages, and they just eventually they'll just give up, which is obviously also exhausting for them when they're so young. You
yeah,
don't want them to be trying to eat something for, an hour on end at that size. Um, but and
yeah.
again, it's a fine line there between if they are sort of spitting it up, then it's chances are like they're not ready. They're not actually ready to take pinkies.
Yeah, so when I guess when do you decide to try to bring rodents into the equation? Is it an age
Um,
thing or a size thing or like
size,
a yeah,
size, size, and I think some of them are just a bit more ferocious than others. Like you'll
oh yeah, for
notice like
sure.
I mean I've got adults and some of them take forever to eat, and some it just like
Oh,
it's like you turn around and it's just gone, and you think, hold on,
they'll
did,
eat your
did you
hand.
even?
Yeah.
And it's not even so much that it's like in their neck, like it's gone. Like you can't even see a bulge anymore. Like it's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? You literally, did I feed you or not? Because I can't tell.
Can't
Like
tell. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, you're
so
right.
so
Some of them just waste no time at all, and
just
others
hoof it
literally.
down.
Yeah. The funny thing is they've all got their own personalities.
Yeah. So
Um,
so the young ones, it's generally size, and it also like you know I'm sure with venomous stuff you've seen 1,000 bags of pinky mice. Sometimes you buy a bag and they look like they're a few minutes old and they're minuscule, and then other times
yeah, some of
they
them
look
Yeah, fucking
huge.
2 weeks old.
Yeah, so it just depends on what I have. But yeah, I generally try and get like a decent amount of fish into them first, because the pinky does seem to take a little bit more effort. I've also had
Yeah.
losses from snakes that have taken pinkies, taken it down, eaten it like no problem, and then they've moved around, and then I've come back in later and they've just died. Essentially, I think
What do you
that's
think
just
that
the
is? It's just too big?
yeah, I think it's the size of the pinky, like pushing in on their lungs or something from like internally.
Yeah.
I think it's just
Yeah,
too
just
large.
overall stress on the body, and then maybe even exhaustion too from
I think
taking down such a large prey item.
potentially. I also think that just tree snakes are just so sensitive when they're young that
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of I don't know. It's one of those weird things where it's like it's almost if it wasn't that, it was probably going to be something else.
Yeah,
I
okay.
almost think a certain number of them are sort of just destined to not make it for whatever
Whatever
reason.
wacky reason.
And
I it would be fascinating to know how successful they are in, growing to adulthood in the wild.
sorry, my dog.
Yeah, yeah. Dogs going off.
Yeah, dog's going off. Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, they lay large clutches, don't they? So in the wild, they
Yeah,
always seem to
somewhat,
see
yeah.
huge clutches. The largest clutch I've ever had was 10 eggs,
Yeah,
but they seem to lay much larger in the wild.
yeah. Um,
Um,
the diet thing is interesting too, because obviously naturally they are eating skinks and frogs
yeah,
primarily. I'm sure every so often one will eat a bird egg or a small bird or whatever it could come across. But in captivity, in Australia, we don't really have. It's not accessible. It's not accessible for us. We can't just go and buy skinks or frogs and things. So, sort of the next best thing that we can feed them, or actually, it's kind of a whole can of worms, isn't it? Talking about this, because it's a convenience thing. We want these things to eat rodents because mostly because it's convenient to us. When in actuality, it's most probably not the best thing for them, considering however many millions of years of evolution have led them and their digestive tracts to be able to consume frogs and skinks. But here we are feeding them big, heavy rodents.
yeah,
And there's a big
agreed.
thing about not feeding rodents with fur as well. Have you ever fed rodents with fur? And if you have you ever seen any negative, or have you heard of negative impacts of tree snakes eating
Mm,
rodents with fur?
So yeah, generally don't feed it with fur. I certainly have adults. I can't really say I've noticed too much of a difference. Just purely like I think if you did it for like a long period of time, you might notice a difference. I've played
Yeah.
around with it. You definitely see fur in the waist.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's not something that I do. Um, I've always kind of thought as a diurnal species, they're much more likely to come across birds on their day-to-day life than they ever would rodents.
Yeah.
So
Agree.
I don't know if there's much evidence of that. I know that there's been papers where they've checked stomach contents and things, and they've never found. I don't think they found any birds or rodents. Um,
Hmm.
I've tried feeding mine quail eggs. I've never seen them take any interest in quail eggs.
Yeah.
Um,
But quiet, they eat quail though.
they'll eat quail, yeah, yeah. So it's day
Yeah.
old quail. I don't think I've really seen any issues with feathers. Um, but yeah, I mean, I tend to. I think the thing is as well is that like, I think everyone talks about them having a high metabolism, being colubrids. Sorry, she's talking.
That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a staffy staffy mix, so she talks a
Yeah.
lot.
Very
um,
vocal. Yeah.
very vocal. Um, yeah, I think like obviously they've got high metabolisms, but I don't necessarily think that means they need to be eating every day. And I think if
Hmm.
you're feeding rodents and you're feeding them like every 2 days or whatever, like that's where you're really going to end up with
That's
issues.
crazy. That's crazy. Yeah.
So if I'm feeding predominantly rodents, I'll probably feed like the adults maybe I don't know 2 or 3 a week, spread out. I might do like
Yeah.
two one day and then wait a week and then do another one sort of thing. I don't feed anything on a schedule. Never have.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and then quails and stuff as well. obviously, but I'd rather do like fewer feeds, like more feeds spread out than big feeds. And then even the young ones, I find that even with the babies, like I know people seem to be able to get them to eat fish like every couple of days, but in my experience, like a lot of mine won't eat every couple of days, even if I try.
No, that seems like a lot of food. I think I've fed these ones every 4 to 8 days, maybe. It's about as fast as I'll go with the babies that I've raised.
Yeah, I think that like that. Yeah, again, I think coming up to breeding, I think you definitely want to feed them more. Um, but yeah, in terms of day to day, it's kind of like, you know, people with pythons, when they first get a python, they go, oh yeah, one small rat a week, and then the python's now 1.2 meters long, but it's 8 years old, and they're still feeding it a
Yeah,
small rat a week, and it's half the size it should be, but fat, like half as long as it should be, but really
yeah,
obese.
massive.
It's because they haven't switched the food up, and I just think that once a week might be perfect for a tree snake, as opposed to like once a
Mhm.
month, like you would for a python.
I
Um,
think that decision can only be made when you are paying attention to your animal. You've really got to, I think, experiment with things, have a pretty broad understanding of the animal and its metabolic needs, and then just watch it and see what happens.
yeah,
If it's too much, you'll probably know pretty quick, and if it's too little, you probably know in a longer
yeah, for
time.
sure, for sure. And I just think that hydration is much more important. I tend to try and focus on hydration
Oh yeah.
over food, I guess.
And how do you go about that?
Just like regular misting, making sure
Okay.
that they're drinking. I think that they do much better. Like they really prefer drinking off like water, like dripping down the back wall or dripping off a
Off a
leaf,
leaf or something. Yeah.
as opposed to like out of a bowl.
Yeah, I think that's
Um,
practically universal. Hey, it just appears
mm,
that so many animals respond to fresh water around their enclosure better than they do water in the water bowl. In saying that, though, it's quite often you'll see your snake come down for a drink just after you've replaced the water bowl. But I also know that in the tree snakes in particular, quite often they do not enjoy being sprayed directly,
mm.
and that
Again,
goes for a lot of snakes.
different
True.
personalities
Yeah.
though, right? Like I had two snakes in one enclosure. The male used to love it, and then the female would always disappear. So
Hated it.
it's
Yeah.
just, I think it's all individual, I reckon.
Isn't that funny? That's
Hmm.
interesting. So you've kept them sort of in pairs or groups before?
Yeah, yeah, I've got three together at the moment. The blues are
Yeah.
in a trio.
Yeah.
Um, they're fine until it comes to feeding. Like you
I was gonna
cannot,
ask, yeah.
yeah, feeding is a nightmare. When you're keeping multiples. Um, but again, it's knowing, it's not trying to feed them in a hurry, and it's being present like when they're eating and knowing how each animal behaves and how fast they eat. Because sometimes you've got to, like, I might feed one, like, I've got three, so if they're all sort of out, I'll go bang bang, and then the other one I'll feed, but I'll hold on to the rat with the tongs,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and I'll just be playing tug of war with it for a good 2 minutes or so, just to make sure that
Yeah.
its mouth's on something and it's
Yeah.
occupied, and it's not going to let go, but it gives the other two a chance, and
Yeah.
then I'll let it go, and then it vanishes. So
Yeah.
you got to
Hoofs it
know
down.
you got to
Yeah.
know which animal's going to do what. And then sometimes like you got to watch them, because you'll know if they're the worst thing that can happen is that you feed all of them and they're fine, and then one like moves and then the other one locks onto it, and that's when you
Oh
know
yeah.
it's all over.
They're
So you got to be
they're
ready.
very, yeah,
Yeah, I'm normally there
super
ready with the
movement
tongs to give
oriented.
them a little, just give
Smack
them
in
a
the head.
little, yeah, a little smack, just to kind of,
A a gentle tap, of
a
course.
very gentle tap, just to sort of get them out of it. Do you know what I mean? Um,
I I do know what you mean because they go into a pretty gnarly sort of food drive.
yeah.
I saw one eat a leaf once.
Oh
At
yeah, they
work I had
haven't.
one eat a
Yeah,
leaf. It's like, man, you're not meant to do that. That's not food. But I mean, by all means, whatever you want. Um, I'm not going to
yeah,
stop you.
yeah. No, I literally had that like 2 days ago. Um,
Yeah.
you rub you if you like as you're putting like a rat in the enclosure, if you drag it over a leaf, it gets the scent on the leaf, and then they'll go for it, and
Yeah.
they
Yummy,
twist a
yummy
bit of the leaf
leaf.
off, and
Yeah.
then
Down the
yeah,
hatch.
just down the hatch. So as long as you don't have toxic plants in there, I can't see a problem with it. But
No, yeah, that's right. Um,
yeah,
so do you do so I don't need to ask this question. You've already
mm,
told us that you do different sorts of cycling for breeding. So you're feeding a bit heavier and naturally it's already cooler in your room come
mm.
towards um that time of year. So
Yeah,
do you
I turn a lot of the lights off, so I make sure like the day cycle is a lot less
yeah,
coming over winter. I have everything on like grid connect and timers and stuff like that, so it's generally pretty easy
yeah,
to
nice.
drop all of that down, and I will tend to like turn a lot of the heat off. Maybe on like a really, every now and then we get quite a hot day during winter. I might
Yeah.
I might turn the heating on those hot days just to sort of match
Oh yeah, that's fun.
what's happening outside.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
otherwise, yeah. But most of mine stay on food. They will eat. I just make sure I try and feed them sort of earlier in the day, so they've got that time to. So I'm not obviously not feeding
Oh,
them right
gotcha.
before
Yeah, yeah.
nighttime.
That no, yeah, that's interesting. They stay on food even though they're getting down to like in the teens.
Yeah,
Um,
some of them, majority of them will still eat.
yeah, right.
I just
That's cool.
make it way further and further between feeds.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but
I
it's more like I'm not. What I'll do is I'll sort of just defrost, maybe 5 rats, and then I'll sort of just see who
yeah,
wants them, and
yeah.
if no one takes them, then I just feed them to Doc. Like I
Yeah,
just
nice. You've got that little
got the
backup there, and
garbage
obviously
disposal.
just rat pups. Obviously, just
Yeah, just pink rats
rat pinkies. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
or quails or whatever. It is
Yeah.
interesting though. Like I see, I do feed them. I don't really feed the adults fish, unless I come across it. I keep tanks and tanks of guppies and like small feeders, and I have like white clouds breeding in a tank in a pond out the back,
Cool.
um, which is attached to the Yabby system. So I feed like a lot of fish to the small ones. Um, but yeah, I know a lot of people feed like shrimp, like prawns, um, like
That's
defrosted
interesting.
prawns and things like that.
Yeah. I'm not
But
super keen on that. Be too worried about the salt content. Like maybe
mm,
once or as a treat, like very rarely. But I do worry about the salt content. Even we feed a lot of prawns out at work to a lot of different things, but it's usually like the Mertens get a lot of prawns, but it's just an easy sort of
mm.
crustacean for us. But which I do think about the salt content for that. But like things like the rusty monitor or the mangrove monitor or the salties, I don't worry about the salt content for them because obviously they've all got their own ways of excreting it. But um, yeah,
But are you
what are your
feeding
thoughts on
prawns with shells? Are you feeding prawns with shells or?
usually peeled
Yeah, I think some people have had success with literally like peeled frozen prawns, like from the
for
supermarket.
tree snakes?
Yeah,
Wow, fascinating.
I know like I just know that some people who have struggled to get them to feed have tried all sorts of things and have had
Yeah,
success with prawns.
I mean something's better than nothing, isn't it?
Yeah,
Even if
I
it
do
is
think
a
something is
prawn.
better than nothing, but I also think you're not solving the problem, you're just putting a band-aid on the problem.
Yeah, but I mean, if you could just move then to a pinky rubbed in that prawn juice
Sure.
or something else rubbed in that prawn juice, then that'd be great. Um, yeah, I am interested in the idea of um, other types of feeders for reptiles in Australia. I
Mm.
wish we could just if someone somehow sourced skinks or frogs or something. We were talking about it just before we started recording.
Mm.
Frogs. If there was some way to be able to have access to frogs and skinks as feeders, I know in Queensland you can collect 5 species of skinks to feed to reptiles. Um, but it's just not that feasible. What are you going to go out and collect? You know,
Yeah, well, I've
when you
always wondered like you've got Arcadia has just brought out that product, that sort of sausage product.
oh, is it called
Uh,
Is it Reptilinks? Is that
that's
Arcadia?
another brand. It's another
Another
brand of
brand?
the same thing.
Yeah,
Now I think there's a lot of problems with that stuff. Like obviously, that's that sort of stuff designed for people that don't want rats in their freezer. And
Yeah.
I don't think it's a replacement for whole prey,
No, I
especially when
think
you've got.
if you don't want rats in your freezer, you probably shouldn't have a pet snake.
Agreed, agreed. But for someone, for us, for instance, if we could import frog sausages from somewhere,
Yeah.
and because it's in sausage form, it's allowed,
Yeah.
then maybe that would be a solution.
Maybe it would be.
Um,
Um. So
so
you've obviously
someone out there, that's how you can make your millions, is
yeah
by,
frog sausages for tree snake
yeah,
breeders.
please start a frog sausage business. It's not going to be
um.
me, but
So
someone out there should definitely do it.
someone should do it. That'd be fantastic. Yeah. Let us know if anyone's keen. Um. When your tree snakes have laid eggs in the past, where have they laid for you? Have you set up a like a nest box for them or what?
Um, yeah, so I just went and grabbed this one out of one of the enclosures. Sorry, it's a bit dirty, but
No, it's good.
basically this is I think they're like $8 from Kmart or something. It's a
Hmm.
compost bin. It's got a little
Yeah.
flip top lid. I bang a hole in there, and then it's got like a little handle you can carry it around with. But this is a new product that we're coming out with soon. It's actually designed for these. So inside my enclosures, there's like a little, very discreet black sort of tab, and then essentially that goes on and slides on, and it's up
Awesome.
high. So I put this. This is out of the 6 foot tall enclosure,
Yeah.
and yeah, basically just it's all dry at the moment because it's obviously not in use, but um, just a bit of sphagnum moss in there. Um, yeah, and this acts as a humid hide when it's not being used for nesting as well, or
Yeah.
like an up high a high hide, and then yeah, you can just slide it in and out very easily, or just lift the lid and check what's going on in there when they're in
Yeah.
there,
Awesome. I like the idea
and
of just having a little lid like that. That's super neat.
yeah, so I've had quite a bit of success for that with these, but I also just can put them anywhere in the enclosure. They are quite large,
Yeah.
but my enclosures are large, so it's okay. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I find that works, and that's worked with two of the snakes so far, and then the third one, there's kind of in her enclosure, there's like a little like a overhang, and she tends to just lay in that little overhang under that overhang.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
if the eggs are accessible enough, then it's fine,
yeah,
I guess.
yeah.
Um. And do you find that they double clutch often, or
I
just
haven't
single
had that.
clutches?
I haven't
Yeah.
had that, but I truly think that's because I don't feed them enough.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think most of the people I know of who have had success double clutching also keep pythons, and
Right.
I think that the way people feed pythons for breeding is like quite extreme when compared to like what you would feed tree snakes, or at least what I'm prepared to or what I'm used to feeding. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um.
I certainly want to try it, but like I said, like I again with rats, I just don't think pounding them full of rats in order to
No, it
double
doesn't.
clutch them is really
Yeah.
the right idea.
Well,
Um,
kind of maybe not too dissimilar. My female dugite laid a clutch of eggs, whatever it was, November last year, and then I was very cautious. I was like, I want to feed her, enough that she stays in, she puts condition back on, but I don't want to feed her too much that she double clutches. And
hmm.
so I erred on the side of maybe not quite feeding her enough, and she fucking double clutched anyway. So it's like she would have done it probably if I didn't feed her at all. But that's beside what we're talking about. I wanted to ask, with your eggs, how do you go about incubating them? What sort of egg box do you put them in, and then what temperatures do you look at for incubation?
Yeah, so I just have a converted wine fridge, like
Yeah.
most people. Heat cord and thermostat. I kind of playing around a little. Like I've only had 2 successful years of breeding, 3 clutches in total. Um, I've incubated at 20. I want to say 28.5 for both years. And I've had 100%. Well, I've had 100% success rate from healthy eggs. I had one egg not hatch, but when I opened it,
Wow.
it was a two-headed snake.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
so it was all twisted and like, bent inside.
Yeah,
So that
yeah,
one was never gonna survive anyway. But other than that, I've had 100% success.
yeah.
Um, and I just use perlite and water
Hmm.
in a plastic container with a little hole in one corner, and I just put
Yeah,
some tape over that hole, and I sort of just air it out. Um, I take the tape on and off depending on what it's doing inside just
yeah.
to sort of
Nice.
regulate a little bit of the airflow inside. And both years it's been 69 days, and they've started to hatch Christmas Day both years.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah.
So, have you had any deformities that weren't double, like two-headed? Have you had any kinked tails or kinked
Not
spines or
from what
anything
I've
like
bred.
that? Okay,
Not not
that's
not from what I've bred. I had
yeah,
two I had two snakes come to me that had very minor kinks in the tail.
yeah,
But like below the cloaca.
yeah. I
But
man,
they weren't affected by it at all.
I'm gonna have to check the number of days, but I've hatched a couple of tree snake clutches at work now, and we incubate at 30 degrees because there's all sorts of shit in that
Mm.
incubator, mostly monitor eggs. But I'm pretty sure they've hatched at 75 days,
Oh, really?
and yeah, and we had a lot of kinks, a lot of deformities,
Hmm.
um, which is interesting. I really think that the lower temps make a big difference for the common tree snakes, or probably a lot of colubrids in general. It certainly seems that the lower temps allow for, I don't know, maybe better development or style growth. But did you say yours? How many days did yours take?
69,
Yeah, nice.
but both years.
Yeah, yeah.
You're a
Interesting.
child. You're a child,
I
Jake.
am. I am. I am. I cut out myself. Um, but it's interesting that they took less time to hatch than the ones that I hatched at a hotter
Yeah,
temp.
I would actually. So I didn't have any success last year, but admittedly, I had a crazy year of business, and then
Work,
also
yeah.
I knew I was getting married and going away. Um, and I think all going to plan, I would have had no, I mean potentially could have had 9 snakes laying eggs this year. Um,
Oh, you do not need that stress.
and I just, yeah, I put effort into the two blue girls, and then basically nothing else. And then the two blue girls didn't go, so I ended up with nothing,
None.
which was
Yeah.
probably for the
It's
best
yeah, it's
this
not the
year.
worst thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But next time I think I'm gonna lower slightly to 28. I've
Yeah.
heard people sort of incubate at 27 to sort of 30 is what I've heard.
Yeah.
Um, So yeah, I think
I
I'm going to reduce a little around that 28 mark, I reckon, next time, just to sort of see what happens.
yeah. I might try
Um,
the old shelf in the snake room trick if I get
mm,
tree snake eggs again. Well, I put my dugite eggs in my pantry this
yeah,
year, and they hatched 100. Oh no, they 100% of them hatched, but one of them it was weird. It was like fused together like this
yeah,
way, like
okay,
it was a coil. But the rest of them were fighting fit, I can assure you. But
yeah,
I did
yeah.
have
It's
one.
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. No, you're
I
right.
was just going to say, like tree snakes, they're just at least for me, like they've been such a just an uphill battle the whole time. Like I had a pair for years, and they just were incompatible. Um, so it's like I think if you have compatible tree snakes, they're very easy to breed.
Yeah.
If they're but you can just have incompatible pairs. Like the female just would not have anything to do with the male. And then
Mm,
as soon as I got a second male, I chucked him in there, and then literally immediately he let
straight
him
on it.
he let him she let him, yeah, go to town. So
Yeah.
I think as well, like I've always had it, like I said, I've had a 100% success rate hatching. I've had 100% success feeding. Um, but then like I remember my first year I hatched 10 and lost 8. just
Yeah.
for whatever
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah.
And then and then and I think the main thing was that with air conditioning. So I think what happened was that I don't know if you remember, like when we were in the middle of La Nina down here in New South Wales, like we had very cold summers, like 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
didn't like we didn't like have any days over 40 degrees for I think 3 years or so.
Yep.
And then that summer, the first summer I hatched them, we were having 40 plus degree days, and I was panicking a little bit, so I got a aircon just to try and bring the temp down or manage the temp. And I think what ended up happening is I actually dried them all out. Um, and
Yeah.
then essentially the following year, now I've got all the humid hides. I solved that problem, um, but then just other issues, um,
Yeah. And
just yeah.
we've kind of alluded to it that they're so sensitive and they're so small.
Mm.
Um, there could be a myriad of reasons as to why they die.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
I think in my case it was definitely the second time around. Definitely, I think a certain percentage of them are they're just not meant to survive. I think that they just fail to thrive for whatever reason,
yeah.
um, and that could be from anything internally. Like you've got no idea. Um, but then also I think I've had, like I said, I've had one that was big enough to eat a pinky, ate a pinky, no dramas, and then come back and it's just died for whatever reason. So I think, yeah, just making sure that when they're young that you're not trying to get them onto pinkies too quickly,
Yeah.
because it's convenient. Because for me, I have a shop, I have fish tanks at my shop. I've got ponds and fish tanks and all sorts of stuff here. It's okay. It's easy for me to buy feeder fish in bulk. Um,
Yeah. Just hang on to them.
and just hang on to them. But for the average person that's trying to keep tree snakes, they're buying fish from the pet shop. And then if they don't have a tank at home to basically flush all the chemicals and stuff out, you're essentially bringing home fish tank water that's medicated and treated with all sorts of stuff, and then feeding your tree snakes immediately. Um,
Yeah.
and
I
so I
think
don't I
I
don't have
think
that problem.
you almost need to be ready to keep a feeder fish tank along with your common tree snake.
100%.
It should almost be in the actually that brings up another topic. I did have one more topic I want to talk about, and that's um, resources for keepers and how to get this sort of information out there. Um, but if there were fantastic resources out there, it should say if you want a common tree snake, you need to be prepared to keep a feeder fish tank as well.
Yeah, yeah, for a
I think
hatchling
it
one
makes
at
sense
least. For
for
a,
a
for
hatchling
a,
one.
for a hatchling one for sure.
Yeah,
Like having like a colony of guppies, like a tank setup that's breeding guppies consistently, would help. It's probably
yeah,
the easiest way to go about it.
yeah, definitely. And they're so easy to have them proliferate. The guppies are awesome for
Mm,
that.
yeah.
But what's your thoughts on resources for, well, I guess kind of reptile keeping in general? Because back in the day, forums were pretty fantastic at getting whatever you know the right information for the time. Back then, the information was right, so it was good to get it in that way. We do have books, but a lot of them are becoming outdated. But in terms of resources for keepers nowadays, is there, I don't know, like what's the future for reptile keeping resources for people who want to keep them?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess, well, what's his name? Is it, I want to, who just did the Rainforest Dragon book? Is it Byron Manning? Is
Manning.
that his name?
Yeah,
Manning?
I think so.
Byron
Yeah,
Manning? Is that his first name?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think
so
so.
so,
Yeah,
so something like that's really cool. Where you've got someone who's obviously interested in a particular little um, slice of what we can keep with the rainforest dragons, and has made like another little book just based on them that's not attached to another dragon book. I think that's
yeah,
definitely a great step in the right direction. Look, I'd love to come out with a tree snake book um, one day, but I don't,
Yeah.
I'd be lying if I said I thought I had all the answers, and I'd be lying if I thought that everything I'm doing right now is the right thing. But um, trying to give it a really good crack. Um,
Yeah.
and everything I say is obviously just from my own experience.
Well, that's
Um,
all you can talk from, really. And I think a lot of the people who have written books are talking from their own experience and the experience of people that they know or have reached out to. So it's kind of all it is. You just got to find the time to put a book together.
yeah, for sure, for sure. I think I've kept tree snakes for like 6 or 7 years now,
Yeah.
and obviously bred them for the last two, well, three, I guess. Two successful years and one failed. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think like, you know, I know there's a couple of people around me that have got tree snakes now, and I've definitely said to them that, when it comes time to get feeders, like I can help you out with
Awesome.
feeders, because like trying to get feeder fish from like pet stock or something is very expensive as well.
Oh, yeah,
You're
absolutely.
paying like $4 a fish sometimes.
Man, the price of aquarium fish has just skyrocketed in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
It's fucking ludicrous to be honest. But anyway,
Yeah, I mean, even buying
um,
them like wholesale, it's still expensive. And
yeah, I
you
bet.
got to you got to buy them in bulk, like hundreds at a time, and then you always get some losses, and then you've got to
Yeah,
maintain the tanks, which takes a lot of time.
yeah.
Like they're definitely not a species that you know are easy to keep, but
No, there's
like
a bit more involved.
I'm one of the few people that got emertens and then decided that I was going to breed crayfish, so it's like I'm
Hmm.
kind of into it, but um it works for me. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
um
Well, I think we're all moving. I think there's definitely a movement towards just trying to do the best thing for the animals and figuring out the best ways to do it and figuring out the best things to do and the ways to do it. So
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really into like I'm definitely
yeah,
moving towards like less species and just trying to keep like a few things really well. Um I think a lot of like the GTP guys are really onto it for that. They're like, I'm only going to keep GTPs, and I'm just going to exhaust every technological advancement possible to try and make it happen.
it becomes a bit much at times.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
but you're right.
yeah, I think
The green
I think
python
that's a
guys
good
are
direction.
good for that. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. Um, I think though that's important. Like, I think just with reptile keeping in general, like there's I know in my own keeping journey, like I've got a pair of olives and I love them, but what do I do with them? They're hets. Do I try and produce albino ones? Um,
Don't ask
why?
me. You don't want my
You know,
answer. I've
you know what I mean?
done
Why?
it.
And then even if like I've kept them for so long now, with the idea that I was going to breed them, but it's like as much as I do want that experience, like, do I really want to try and sell them? Like, is there enough people out there to even,
No.
I saw a reel today of someone that's just bred a whole clutch and was like reaching into a bucket to pull out handfuls of olive pythons, and you know, there's
Yeah.
probably, I don't know, 100 people in Australia that should really have them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Have them sort of full stop.
Yeah, and
Yeah. Not
sometimes I
100
debate.
buying hatchlings this year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, and sometimes I debate whether I am actually in one, whether I am one of those 100 people, as someone who rents and doesn't own their house, and you
I
know
think the fact that you debate that yourself means you should probably more. You're more of a person that should have them, and other people that don't even think about it that way.
yeah,
So
yeah, and I like to think so, but I've also got a Mertens that's she's in a 3.6 meter long enclosure
yeah,
by 600, because that's what I
yeah,
can fit in my house.
yeah, yeah.
Do you know
Is
what
it
I
big
mean?
enough? Fuck no.
No, I don't think it's big enough at all. But I guess
Yeah.
what I'm saying is that, like, you know, I made choices and got three quite large animals when I started my sort of hobby. And then now, as I'm getting more and more into sort of smaller things, it's like I'm not really prepared to move those animals on. Like I would never move
No.
Doc on, but you kind of like, as you get older and smarter, and then sort of realize what it is that you're trying to do, you're now sort of left with the the remnants of the decisions you made when you
decisions
were a
that
bit
you've
younger
made.
and dumber and a bit more excited. Because when I bought those
Yep.
olives, I just thought, man, producing an albino is going to be the best thing ever. And then,
Yep.
however many years later, that it's like couldn't be further from what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
I just wonder sometimes about like the hobby, and I think it is getting better, but we've got kids that have never, like, I'm lucky, like, Sri Lanka was the 50th country that I've traveled to.
Holy shit,
I've
dude. That's
spent a lot of
crazy.
time with a backpack on my back. I'm a big believer in leaving home and going out and seeing the world. And, I lived
Yeah.
in multiple countries. I've had jobs and lived in multiple countries. And sometimes I think it's crazy when you've got kids who are like 18, 19, are still living at home, and they don't even have a career. They haven't gone to university. They haven't seen the world, and they're buying things like Merton's water monitors and lace
Oh, it's
monitors and olive pythons and Owen Pellies
yeah.
and all these sorts of things. And I just wonder, like, it's real fun now, but what do you do? What do you do
Yeah.
later? You know?
That thing's gonna live for 30 years if you keep it right.
Yeah. So I had a chat to someone recently about a panoptes, and I was like, man, I really want a panoptes. And I was trying to convince myself that getting a panoptes was a good idea, and then decided it's really a terrible idea. It's
It's a
such a
terrible
terrible,
idea.
it's
Yeah.
such a terrible idea.
Yeah. I mean, you probably know this already, but if you didn't, and maybe someone listening might not know, but Varanus panoptes, the yellow-spotted monitor, they dig the deepest burrows of any vertebrate species on the planet.
Mm.
A study conducted, I think I've talked about this on the podcast before. They measured the depth of like 200 something burrows dug by panoptes, and the average depth was like 3.6 meters or 12 feet.
Mm.
It's
Yeah,
insane. And we just throw them into a
yeah.
box
But they're
in your house, or
really
even a
pretty,
pit in your
Joe.
yard. Or,
They're
I know.
really,
And,
really pretty.
and have you fed
Who
have you fed
cares?
one before? They're
Yeah.
feral. They're fucking
Yeah, and
feral. They're awesome.
the person I was looking to get one off breeds really feral ones.
I bet. I bet. I feel like I might even know who that is.
You know exactly who it is. So I was just you know, but then I'm also talking to Mitch. You should have Mitch. I've even said to some of us, like, oh, next time you breed a scrub python, like, I'll raise it, but I'll give it back. Like,
Yeah.
I just want
If
the
you-
experience.
Yeah.
I just
You
want the
pick your
experience,
hold-
but
you pick your hold back, send it to me, and then I'll send it back.
yeah, exactly. There should be
Yeah.
some sort of like lease out option so that we can have the things that we want, but not have to deal with the consequences.
Yeah.
Like a library.
Yeah, like a library for reptiles, for large, dangerous, hard to house
Yeah.
reptiles.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think
Oh,
most
man.
people as well, like, you'd have one. I think most people, even with olives, that once your olive's like 2.5 meters long, sometimes it's not fun. It's not fun anymore.
Sometimes.
And I think that's like a lot of species can be like that, especially the big ones. Like a
Yeah,
2 meter
definitely.
lace monitor is great unless you've got one that's a fuckwit and you're trying to
Oh,
keep it in an
man.
apartment.
Yeah, oh,
You
yeah.
know, and then you're and
Well,
then you're also 19.
Yeah, well, man, I keep elapids. I've got taipans and brown snakes, and there's days where I'm just like, what? I don't want to deal with this right now.
Yeah,
But
yeah, exactly.
You've done poos, or you need water or whatever. I don't really want to pull you out right now in my apartment.
Yeah, exactly. I just think it's funny. I think it's always a constant battle, especially with enclosures and closure size and the quantity that we keep and the time that we've got. It's always a constant battle to work out whether, um, how, like, the ethics behind reptile keeping and things like that.
But it's important to think about them. If
Oh,
you're not
100%.
if you're not thinking about them, you're probably not doing the right thing.
Yeah.
You should always be questioning what you're doing and how you're doing it. And if you're doing the right thing, if you could be doing it better, and all those sorts of things.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, food for thought.
Should we end it there? We should
You can do.
We'll end-
You can do if you want.
Well, yeah, let's leave it at that. It's a bit philosophical, but Tyson, I always put all of your links into the show notes anyway, but for anyone looking for you, where can they find you online?
Habitatsathome.com.au for the website. You'll see all the enclosures, well, it's the standard size of enclosures that we make currently, but we can make custom basically to any size. And we have a huge, sorry, my dog's trying to dig through the floor. But yeah, we make custom sizes, and we've also got a new range of enclosures coming out shortly that will be stackable, flat packable, and will cater for a lot of the reptiles that we keep in Australia. Also, Habitats at Home on Instagram, and Doc Merton on Instagram. Oh, and Habitats at Home on YouTube as well. There's not a lot on there, but we'll get there.
Awesome.
We'll get there.
Yeah, sweet. Your dog is having a damn good time there.
She's mad she's mad because there's a towel on her bed and she doesn't want to lie.
Oh my god, she doesn't want it there. All right, well, thanks,
man.
Tyson. I'll put
Much
all those links
appreciated, bro.
in there. Yeah, no worries. That was great. And as always, everyone, thanks so much for listening. Feel free to reach out on Instagram at joemac.uthl. Like, follow, subscribe, share, all that shit, whatever. Thanks,
Cheers, team. See you later.